Hi and welcome back to a new video. Today from Computex and from the booth of Montech. I'm sure you know Montech for their cases, but they also pointed out that they want to expand into other markets such as cooling and especially AIO. So next to me I have this 360 AIO where Montech provided a chart that was from third-party tested. And according to them, 45 decibels noise normalized. This was the strongest AIO tested on AMD platforms. So that looks kind of interesting. I obviously don't have a chance to test or review this here. I can just repeat what they said. But just the numbers sound interesting. And they also said that the AIO is supposed to cost $89. So also price-wise, quite attractive. Now let's check out what else they have to show. You are looking for a real alternative to Google Drive or Dropbox with European data privacy standards? Then take a look at Hetzner's storage share. Based on Nextcloud, it lets you securely share files, collaborate on documents and organize appointments with the integrated calendar. Whether you use a laptop, smartphone or browser, your files are always available. GDPR compliant, flexible with no minimum contract term and no cancellation period. You'll find the link to Hetzner storage share in the video description. New customers can save $20 with the code DERBAUER20. The AIO I just showed you will also be available in an RGB version. It's generally called the Cyberflow. And if we go back to the non-RGB version, we can also take off this cover. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with these kind of things. For example, an ASUS AIO had this quite some time ago. And this additional fan onto the pump usually helps to not only decrease the VRM temperature on the motherboard, but also the temperature on your memory. We're starting with the F738 Pro. Apparently the name is tied to the automotive industry, and these cases are floating cases. So the entire design aspect comes from the part that you have this on the bottom chamber that can contain the PSU. Then you have this gap in between, and then the big chamber on top. What is special about the Pro is the front that you can open and close, or also partially depending on your liking. And behind this modifiable door, I would call it, there are two 170mm fans, so quite big fans, and you can definitely feel how this is moving a lot of air inside the case. So you can feel it from the back if you open and close it, that it's also definitely changing the airflow. Would be up to you if you decide if you want to have this open for more airflow or closed or partially closed, depending on your liking. And it's available in black and white. On a black one, I personally like the fact that you don't see the fans as much when you open and close it. So just visually, there's less of a difference on the black one if you open and close it versus the white one, because it just has also the silver stuff in front. And as I said, the main aspect is that it's a floating design. So you have the bottom PSU chamber and then the big chamber on top. And the entire idea behind this is that you thermally decouple the PSU from the rest, while you still have the opportunity of having fans like in this version that can have cold air intake into the chamber from the bottom without having thermal influence on the PSU. And you see this is the F738 Vision. And the difference here is that it has a glass front window instead of the open and closable window. And this also means that they come with extra side intake fans, which these cases don't have. So you see there is no side intake. Side intake is only for the Vision version. And price point is also quite attractive. So this one is about $99. This one is about $10 more. But both of them, at least to me, price-wise, very attractive. You can probably imagine that just from the structural point of view, structural integrity, it is definitely a challenge having this free flow design with all the components that you would throw in the top chamber. Especially if you have like cars like 5090 in there, this is getting heavy. And at least for shipping purposes, this thing is always built in from the factory, but you can remove it. And then this is a true free flow design, but you can see that it will flex. There is no way around it, just because you have a high mast in there and it's on an angle, and then it would always flex. So you can see that partially from the front. You can move it if you press onto it. If you don't like that, you can always put this in. You can leave it inside. And of course, you can also look into other options, like for example, 3D print a small white pillar and put it in the bottom. That might also improve this a lot. And would be up to your liking. But I also think that just this way, it also looks great, and you can just probably leave it inside for just better structural integrity. The case we're looking at is also a prototype that was built for Computex, and that's why it has still the screen in the bottom, but the screen will not be there for the final product. But that also means that this will come at an attractive price, because with the screen included, it would definitely be more expensive. Another case that Montech is showing is the King 95 3D. 3D because it's using 3 glass side panels. You have the front one that's also slightly bent, 90-degree angle, side one, and also the top one. This approach with 3 side panels that are made from glass usually restricts the thermal performance quite a bit. And I think that's also the challenge that Montech faced, and that's how they came up with this rather unconventional thermal solution, which is moving the AIO, or like the top cooling, to the side. So you can see the AIO that you typically would mount on top just goes to the side. And if we go around here, you can see that this is like fully open. So the way they think it works best is having the fans on the bottom, the 3 fans and the 2 fans on the back, intake, and then use those 2 fans and the AIO as outtake, or like exhaust. The case will come without any fans, which is great because you can configure it fully yourself, and it also means that it will be a lot cheaper. Price point of this one is $120, and I think this is quite impressive. And Montech generally points out that they want to stay in this kind of price region for most of the cases, better price attractive, but at the same time deliver high performance and high quality. They say you already pay enough right now for memory and SSDs, and that's how you can save a little bit on the case, but still get a great product. The last case we're quickly going over is the 10, which is a mini ATX or micro ATX case. I will not go over this in too much detail, but what I find quite interesting is this thing right here. This is the wood version of the 10, and it comes with this quite unique feature. It's a piece of wood with 2 magnets, and Montech asked me if I have any idea what this is about, and I kept thinking, and I couldn't understand what this would be for. So he said that you could use this and put some sort of like an oil on it and put it back onto it, because it's wood, and because of the hot air coming out, because this is like hot air outtake from the AIO, it can make your room smell nicely. That is the feature I was definitely waiting for at Computex, but I have to give Montech, this is actually quite creative. Did not expect that. I hope you also did not expect the products in this video, because I think it's actually quite cool. Hope you enjoyed this one. See you next time. Bye bye.